several issues right now because we have survivor issues and victims of abuse who have incontinence issues from rape, past rapist issues. There's several safety issues, concerns are going to come up initially when people are dealing with abusers. Initially, with incontinence and rape injuries in the past, what we have a problem with is that when there's the conflict of interest is not what initially we're not going to talk to those individuals if they're going to make it confusing for the victims. It's been too confusing. Initially, when we called the police, we could not contact the police. We could not go to court because we have rape injuries from the past. And one of my main concerns, having dealt with rape injuries, is that oftentimes because of mobility and difficulties walking and breathing, one of the problems that we've had because of the past rape injuries is the incontinence, is getting to the bathroom, is getting to the doctor and contacting somebody. Some of these cases all started surfacing again, and that's out of my control. I cannot believe that any of these people started bringing up all these issues. They should have been at therapy. They should be talking to the doctor to begin with. That was one of the initial concerns when somebody has been invited to go to therapy and welcomed, with open arms, and all they're doing is sitting here attacking us. I mean, it's so hard to talk to these therapists and doctors as it is because there's a whole new set of people now. All the other people have retired. Most of the people who used to work on these cases have gone on to and been promoted and left other jobs or moved on or live in other states. So initially, when we do an intake and we can't get to our appointments to begin with, I mean, there are several things coming up right here, right now. When we talk about sexual abuse victims, especially victims that weren't abused, we weren't abused until we ended up in foster care to begin with. That's the problem. Initially, when they placed these children, they didn't have these problems. Now we have trauma issues. We're blacking out several times. We blacked out. We don't even have our vehicle. And they're trying to twist these words around, and it's too confusing. They make it entirely too confusing. We have missed work. We have missed school. I mean, this is personal injury stuff now. I mean, they're personally injuring people that they don't need to go near. No one of those people even contact each other. We've had threats. We've been attacked. We've had holes in the wall. They don't need to stay in touch with their old victims. In fact, the whole protection order was to initially put a stop to the abuse. And we've had issues. I had issues with my ex-husband, yes. He had to go into a program called anger management. And when you have children and families who have been constantly in crisis with bathroom and trauma issues, and when you're it's so hard to communicate about these issues because there's so many vulnerable issues. There's so many issues when we're vulnerable like this and we're home alone or by ourselves. We have to have a wellness check and we have to have additional patrols because of a past abuser. We can't keep moving around. We don't have the mobility to do this anymore. So the police, when we talk to Department of Aging, same thing, old past abusers showing up on the property. When you have mobility issues, I mean, this is it. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than being wheelchair bound and then being assaulted on top of it. So we have some serious problems right now. The past abuser needs to go call his own attorney. If they have a problem, they have to contact Allegheny County Common Pleas. They cannot contact the victims anymore. The victims will have to either relocate to another location until this case or any of the court cases processed. We have several victims, we have several abuse survivors, and they cannot discuss a case. We cannot go into any more detail. We have initially been through enough. There's a point to how far it can go. There's almost a point of no return. So here's the thing. If any time there's a crisis, they contact the crisis hotline or go over the grapevine and tell the therapist or tell the doctor or tell somebody to, call your therapist or doctor, because no one's allowed to be rubbing up against anybody. If they're rubbing themselves up against you, you better contact somebody and ask somebody about what's going on there. We were over at the AA meeting, and there was a little girl who was rubbed. I mean, there's just several things going on at once. So they need to follow up with their therapist and place a. Make sure there's a police report. Make sure if you have a police report of an incident, contact crime assistance over at the county courthouse, because that's about as much as we can do right now. I mean, this is initially what they need to do. They got to get their police report and apply for assistance, because there's only so much can be done. They got to get cab service or get some kind of help and get to wherever safe location they need to get to. That's initially what's been going on. That's basically a safety plan. If there's a problem, contact your therapist. Contact your employer. Tell them that you have to have time off. I mean, whatever it takes. I mean, just get the help you need.